Hey, cat. Let's get this fixed. There we go. All right, so it's time for an annual, not annual, but somewhat recurring feature, a stats stream. It's going pretty well. Had a good day of work. So I've got, I think, good functions for doing some basic visualizations and basic stats for Emea and Apac. I haven't looked at them for Apac yet, and then I need to figure out. I'm gonna have to like kludge my own stuff together from the Aesop's tables, Cascadia JSON. So well, that'll be the adventure we do together, where I do boring coding. I'm trying to make this heat map to see, and I'd love feedback as we get through the stream on how it's going. But I think this is the way you read this is the color is the win rate for the corp. So a matchup like this means the corp won all four, and then the number in here is the number of times that matchup happened. So if it's white, it's about 50-50. As it gets more red, it gets more corp favored. As it gets more blue, it's more runner favored. And this is like, I think this ends up not being super interesting in this case, because we're not actually seeing something that I was sort of expecting to see, which is that some corps do well against certain runners and some runners do well against certain corps. But what we mostly see is good corps are good and good runners are fine. So if you look at something like this, it's like, oh, Ag Infusion played against, I think I have a filter. You have to have played at least 4 matchups for this data to count. If you take off all of this matchup filtering, I think it gets a tiny bit more noisy, but I don't think much. Oh, right. I have to do a greater than 0 filter, I think. Let me just. Yeah. So this just becomes unreadable because there's lots of reds and blues. It's like, oh yeah, 419 won every game against Built to Last, but Built to Last also had basically no winning matchups. I think 4 is probably a reasonable cutoff. We could maybe go a little bit more aggressive. We could say you need to have played more than 5 matchups and see. I don't think it'll make a huge difference. I know when you take it to like 10, like the grid becomes tiny. Wow, even setting a threshold of 5 is a big deal. Right, that takes you down to very few corps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. It's interesting though, actually. When you go for really common matchups, it feels like runners seem to be doing better. Maybe that's just visual noise? Oh no, runners aren't doing better. They're actually doing worse because our threshold value is now 0.2. Is there a way I can set that? Let me see. Sorry, I'm going to do this off screen. Adjusting the seaborne heat map. Endpoints, maybe. Stats. I should make sure this whole plot is visual while I'm doing debugging. But I think this is a really interesting plot. Let's go back down to 4 though, so it looks, because I think it's actually kind of important that 0.5 is white. Okay. Oh, okay. Do I need to do greater than 3 to get to a runner win rate of 100%? Okay, cool. So now the only winning match. Okay, yeah. So you need Hoshiko dunking on. You need Hoshiko dunking on Jemison to get the runner win rate down to. Down to 100, corp win rate down to 0%. But what do we see? Hoshiko basically even against everything except it looks like there's a slight ag infusion bias and a slighter op bias. To be both of those are slightly corp favored. It's hard to tell with this visualization. I'll maybe do a second one where you actually just put the percentages in. But then Hoshiko is up against PD, against Asmari, against, like, Sports... Wow, up against Sportsman was kind of surprising. And then Ag Infusion honestly looks like the undisputed best corp, right? It's just winning a lot of games with high numbers. And then... Op also comes out pretty well here. A surprisingly bad record against Essa, which is pretty shocking to me. It's also really interesting to me that we just see NBN, like, falling apart here. It has effectively one winning matchup, which is Sable. Which is really rough. That's very interesting. Okay, so we actually... Because I want to do the comparison, so let's go and grab, what do I need to get for Apac? Let's delete all this code because it's now redundant. I love that. Okay. Actually, let's move this. This is a, these are functions, so let's move my functions out separately. Then we have to go grab oh, I actually Apac. Okay, Apac was 3008. Emea was 31.2. Okay, so we can basically copy all this code. We move this to here. And we change all these EMEAs to Apacs. Oops, I didn't change that one. Okay. So we see a very different, just overall structure. Yeah, it's like, oh, it had a high-ish win rate, but it's super hard to tell if that's real. So we were seeing all Continentals. I think 6 Ags in Apac. I don't think 6 Ags in Apac. I could get counts for that. Just based on how few Ag games we've seen. I mean, we could look at greater than 1. And we can probably kind of backwards count how many Ag infusions. Right, so 3, 5, 10, 13, 17 Ags in about 7 rounds, so probably 3 Ag players. But I guess I could also do this a different way. Where did I go and get the Apac? Okay, so it's, let's just go and get this. Let's make a new thing for plots. Okay. Okay, so let's go and look at Apac players. Oh, Augustus, I'm literally just ignoring them. There's not a way to tell in 2-for-1 how to do this right now. I have some stats on how many 2-for-1s there are, and it's like geez, it doesn't give you a great picture, or like it strengthens my case, I think, for single-sided Swiss a little bit. But we're going to group by corp identity. Okay. So for Ag Infusion, we have 4 Ag Infusion players at Apac. And let's just do the same thing for... Okay, and yeah, this is Outfit, Op, Asa, Ag Infusion 11. So one thing I definitely should look at is figure out how to do cut conversions. But yeah, let me scroll up for a second, because I have... This was the thing that was like... There were 42 for ones in APAC and 4 IDs that were saved by the tournament software. And then when I looked at the number of players who ID'd, it was 52% of the players at APAC ID'd, 2 for 1 at some point in the event. So, I mean, Augustus, it's honestly a small enough number that you could probably hand count. That's what I initially did, and that's how I made sure I entered all the 2 for 1s. It's, you know, it is only 42 for 1s. So you can do it, and then you could figure out who won, I guess, from the results, and then count that as win rates. I'm not going through that much effort. It's maybe a feature that Cobra needs to develop, and we could, putting that on the feature request, I would, if you make a feature request for 2 for 1s allow indicate of sides and winner, I would be all for it. But hey, morning, Jai. And then it was a 40% runner win rate at APAC. At EMEA, we had 44%, so runners got 4% better in 2 weeks, which sounds about right, honestly. And if I cut this, we have almost half of the player base at EMEA 2 for 1 at some point in the event. Actually, just over half. 77 out of a field of 143. And if you include people who ID'd at some point, it becomes 88 out of 143. Now, some of those IDs might have been for prizes, and some of those IDs are for people in the top cut who won all their games, which I don't have a lot of issues with. Like, that's just a fundamental part of tournaments, especially when we play too many rounds. One of the things that was kind of mind-blowing to me is like how much too many rounds. But yeah, literally half of the people in the event 2 for 1 at some point in EMEA. What you make of that, I don't know. But yeah, that's just my agenda speaking. So yeah, other takeaways. Let's see. So this is EMEA. Like, Hoshiko looks like the runner. Like, lots of stats and just really close to even, basically across the board, or runner favored. So looks very good. Definitely makes my claims that Arasana is strong look a little bit skeptical. It also makes this, like, Sable did not have... runner favored is blue here. So this is corp win rates. And actually, you know what? Let's do this map where the label... can I just do... Actually, here, let's comment this out. And go... True. So this is if we just plot corp win rate. So 55, 63, 53, 38, 42, 0, 33, 52, 54. Okay, so yeah, Hoshiko is slightly, like, even, almost exactly even against Outfit in a ludicrous number of games. Actually pretty down on Op and Ag Infusion. But, like, Arasana is apparently even worse, which is interesting to me. That's not how I feel like those matchups are on paper. But that is how it goes, I guess. And Sable seems to do worse in basically all of the matchups. It does dunk on Asa, which is like an upside, I guess, if you're expecting a lot of Asa. Just going by these numbers. And this is the thing, it's like we're still in super small number land, right? Like, but I will say, Kat, I know you said this, but outfit Sable is even, and Ag Infusion is quite up. Yeah, so even is sort of the average of where you and I thought the Op Sable matchup was. So you definitely earned some vindication there. I do feel happy that, like, I do think Outfit is supposed to, or Op is supposed to be pretty good into Hoshiko, so I'm not too surprised to see that manifest. Yeah, it does make me feel pretty vindicated that Ob is a very good deck. Ag Infusion is a very good deck, but I feel like, and both of these decks are going to be sad as we're going to start playing more pinholes. So, you know, that's just going to be a tough one for them. And let's go back to 4 here. I think it's just, it cleans things up nicely and at least makes it so that we're, like, you know, somewhat accurate. Oop, that's not the button I meant to hit. Oh, I need to figure out how to set this. I didn't actually figure that out. Okay. Oh, goodness. Do I have to do... Let's go... C-bar, keywords... Oh, label would be good. Let's try this. Corp win rate, and then ticks. Ooh, thank you, ChatGPT. Let's see if this works. You didn't give me a 0. Ugh. And yeah, Kat, I'll stick all the data together. The 419 outfit numbers are surprising me. Joe, are you talking about here? Where it's... Actually, this is actually quite Corp favored, despite this being a pale color, because I'm trying to figure this out. But these numbers... Wow, that is very surprising. Yeah, that's quite surprising. How many games is that? %29% is going to be, like, actually quite a good number. Oh, okay. It's 7 games, right? So, 0.29 times 7. Ugh. Right. That doesn't work. I have to do something dumb. So that would be like 5/7. Yeah. So it went 5 to 2, which is like pretty surprising. It might be that Hermes is actually just really good if you play it correctly, and the like Maker's Eye Katorga Breakout legwork just dunks on outfit. Okay, I really want to figure out how to set the min value on the scale. Let's see. Okay, so I might have to do something like levels equals. Okay. Oh, I hate when this thing just VS Code just decides to stop color coding my things correctly because it gets tired. And then immediately after this cat, we'll get into looking at all the data. Oh, okay, apparently it's just a one-word argument. That would be nice. Beautiful, there we go. Okay, so now 0.5 is 0 there, or is white. Beautiful, that's what I wanted to see. Okay, back to the stream. How are PE and ESSA doing stats? They're mostly not. ESSA is showing up. PE is not showing up. It's just too small of a data set size. At least these. Okay. Let me take a quick look at the data I have right now before I confirm that. Matchup spread. Ugh. Wait, what? Oh, matchup spread. Well, let's see if this is defined. Okay, great. So, and then I should have a matchup spread in Emea. Yeah, so Alvin, we were talking about this, and let me jump up to this. The win rate for runners was 40% at Apac and 44% at EMEA. So we're at about we're probably between we're somewhere between a 60-40 and a 55-45 meta. I haven't done it. Cascadia yet. I'm going to try and do that, excuse me, next, but okay, I'm going to quickly save this and close everything. Because I like having my code, you know, highlight for me and stuff. And then we will run everything. We will close that. We're going to close out some of these things. This is just Swiss games right now. I can definitely do cut games at some point. It's just they require a little more finesse, and I wanted to get Swiss quickly first. Okay, so how do I do this? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the corp, I'm going to take the runner, I'm going to take the corp wins, draws, runner wins from both of these, because those are the actual data columns. Everything else is calculated. We'll concatenate these, and then we'll group, and then I'm going to do a grouping operation. And we'll group by corp runner, sum, and reset the index. And I did forget a comma. Thank you, Python. Oh. And this needs to be a list, not a series of objects. Okay, so this was, let's just double check that that's, like, this makes sense to us, right? So we're gonna, let's grab the head of this guy. We should always check our data first. No, I don't need 10. I need, like, honestly, 1 is fine. And then we can do the same thing with this guy. Okay, so 6 plus 3 and 7 plus 1 would get us to 9 and 8. Fantastic. Okay, so now I can do, this is going to be Emea, Apac, summed. Okay, and then Emea, Apac summed, decisive games, and win rate. Let's just take a quick look at that. Fantastic. Okay. And then I need to do this transformation. And we can get stats for everything. And this is... Oh, why are you mad at me? Did I misspell total games decisive? One of the times I did. Oh. Data and annotation must have this. Oh, yep. That would be the problem. There we are. Okay. So now we have it in a we have a larger data set. Now, the thing that's interesting to me about this is I do feel like there's valid reasons to separate Apac and Emea in terms of performance, because they're not independent events. They are dependent events where one followed the other, and the first one influenced the second one. But that said, it's still, these are definitely numbers worth looking at. And it definitely makes Hoshiko look very good, right? It's like Hoshiko... Now, that said, Hoshiko's most common matchups are still corp favored. Now, I think that's true of every runner. Yeah, which makes sense, right? Because Corps are winning across the board on average. But Hoshiko does look a cut above everyone else here. I should probably get like total games played by ID as like a thing on the bottom. I don't quite know how to do that. But yeah, and this should be Apac plus Emea. Okay, very cool. What other things can we take from this? Sports medal Op conversion looks decent. Ag infusion looks great. It's played less games than Op, but looks to be crushing. Asa looks quite good. The Sable matchup being weak is like the one bad thing for the deck. And I do wonder if this is a play style thing, but Criminal has historically had a pretty good Asa matchup. Outfit looks very suspicious, right? I think it's really interesting. This is what I mean about like dependent events, where at APAC, Outfit's a good choice. You're only down to Lat and Arasana, but both of these are pretty uncommon, right? Your most common matchups 419 and Hoshiko, you're even or favored. So like you're mostly favored and then you're not doing great. And then by the time you add Emea, people have adapted to Outfit a little bit. But let's try and go and see if we can sort out the mess that's Cascadia. And this is going to require a whole bunch of new code because, my goodness, I've really made things difficult for myself. And you know what? I'm going to cheat a little bit, and we're just not going to try and do this through the bad API I made because, boy, do I not know how APIs work. Also, shout out to Voltaic, who's embarking on a massive reorganization of Aesop's tables to make it something that people can actually develop with, whose name isn't Jeff, which is super cool. And so hopefully in a couple of weeks we'll have something that is, friendly for people to approach if they are familiar with Python Flask. Or if they want to help build out some JavaScript front-end stuff, I definitely wouldn't say no to that. I'd love to make Aesop's tables much more feature complete. So, yeah. No, I think exactly. The presence of Clot went way up. So, let's see. Cascadia raw equals... I think we probably need to import JSON. I probably don't actually need to import JSON, but... Open, and we're gonna open just 64.json. Let's take a look at Cascadia raw keys. Okay. Like, some things I actually do need help with is like building out a stats panel, and deck list support is one of the other big features I want to develop so that people can submit their own deck lists, and that can be a submission thing. That's something that's also in the work for Cobra, and I think we're trying to have ready for Worlds, but that's not promises yet. Okay, that's just a number. So Diogene, I personally can get stats about how the cards are used because I have access to the file where everyone submitted their deck lists. However, that's a discussion I need to have with people about whether or not that's a kosher use of the data. Okay, I 100% need help making Aesop's look pretty and feel good to use. 100% I need that. Okay, name, caught top players, elimination. Oh, okay, so I want rounds, right? I think that's how I want to structure this data. Okay, and it's 10 prelim... How many different rounds? I guess I could just go like this. Call length 16 rounds, so I want rounds 1 through 10. Yeah, I can definitely, like, I don't think there's any problem with me doing anonymized deck lists. I think in general, I want to check with EDI and other people in OP, but yeah, I did do it last year and no one objected, but I also think I should try and be a little bit more of a responsible community member than ask, you know, do it first and ask questions later. Because, you know, I have a different role in the community than I did a year ago. Okay, so can I actually use the same code I used before? I could probably use something very similar, right? Yeah, sad stuck. That's that, but yeah, definitely get consent for post tournament release. Where did I get tournament tables? Raw data. Okay, I can just steal this function, I think, to get the match data. I don't think I need these, though. Oh, I have things labeled differently, don't I? So let's just print out. Print table, and then we'll just do the break. The good loop. Okay. I have court player, runner player, corp identity, runner identity, and the scores for both. Okay, so I can probably make the exact table I need faster, and I probably could have done the old table faster this way too, now that I look at this, because I think Cobra's not built that differently. But this does actually make my life pretty easy to make some of this stuff. So we're going to scroll back up. This is just, yeah, I do a lot of merging to get some nonsense. So we're gonna do this from scratch. So I'm gonna just do the lazy quick way, which is I'm gonna say Cascadia match results equals this, and then do I have a, I did define a function for figuring out who wins. Is it flexible enough to do what I need it to do? Where the heck did I define this function? Get winner, corp score, runner score. Sure. I can reuse this function. I don't need to copy it though. Okay. Okay, so for table in here, we've got this table. And we're gonna go Cascadia match results, append, corp ID. So what did I call it up here? I want to like make my life slightly easy at some point. It's just corp. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, so corp is going to equal and this is just table corp player. Then we want runner is table runner player. And then we have result is get winner corp score runner score. Okay, and then Cascadia match results equals this, and we'll do data object has no, because this should be a list. What? I could have sworn it had a corp score. Did I typo this? Print table. Break. Corp score. What? Oh, is there going to be like... Okay, let's do the illusory thing of seeing what the exception is. Hey, thanks for the kind words. I'm honestly a little bit sad because I feel like I like made a good video and no one's watching it, which sucks. Which makes me like a little bit less enthused. Okay, these are the cut games. Great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. Fantastic. Oh, I want corp identity. I think. There we go. And yeah, let's just, okay, cool. So like, yeah, I don't know, Nick, like it's super weird to me to be like, oh man, I put a lot of time into the deck, I put a lot of time in the write-up, and just like, it is one of my worst performing videos of all time. At least of modern era. Like, and it's definitely like, my recent videos have been less frequent and more heavy on banger content. And like, I should also, let me see if I can find the, like, average retentions. Like, it's actually pretty solid. Like, if I actually look at like how much people, like, so not that many people are clicking on the video, but the people who are, about a third of them are making it almost all the way through. So it's actually like, by the metric of, are people actually watching this and the things I care about, it's doing fine. So, you know, I shouldn't be too down on the, like, the one number that YouTube chooses to make most important is a little bit low. Like, that's okay. And the, like, let me see if I can, like, this is I think this is just a thing I need to adjust to, is this, and I'll, let me see if I can grab this onto the stream. Like, this is what my retention looks like, which is actually phenomenal. Compared to normal, I think. Like, if I go and look at my actual most popular video, I guess it's technically my second most popular video at this point. But just go and see. Yeah, so that's actually a really good point of comparison. So this video, this is what do you call it? This is op. So it ends basically at about 33%. Whereas something like the tier list, which is a ton of fun, and this is not a knock on the tier list, basically never goes above 30%. So, you know, there's different things I can take out of this message. It's certainly nice to see popular clicks, but yeah, it's tricky. And the other reason I'm not sure about Arasana being a deck write-up is I still think that Obelisk is one of the best Corp decks you can play in the meta. That's a great question, Eric. I don't know if it does. Sorry, I'm getting distracted here. Okay, yeah, so if someone comes in multiple sittings, they kind of, it halves the effective retention. Yeah, because people clicking multiple times on the same video counts as multiple views. Which is, you know, it is what it is, but... okay, so we have this, and now I need to do the same transformation I did on these. And I should have broken this function out more because it's not quite compatible with my others, but... What did I actually do here? How did I do this? Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, Eric. But she's definitely new in a different identity. And it's like a very different style of runner plan. Hoshiko is very much I sit back to not and try and just control so I never lose. And Arasana is that, but then also says, okay, I'm going to try and win now. And that's a very different style of runner. The other thing is I should really reach out to like some QTM folks and ask if any of them want to come on and talk about their decks, because I think it's I think I've been very snare bear heavy, and I think there's especially now there are other real groups that are putting up results and making cool innovative decks. I should be reaching out, and this is one of those things where it's like someone was like it's hard for me to find the time to do that, and it's like, oh man, I'd love if I could have someone to help me just be like, yeah, I'll go and reach out to so and so to make this happen. But I mean, like, it's a burn, but like I think genuinely in 21 and 22 there was like it wasn't House Hippos, it was it's being criminally unfair to Sokka and Bridgman's testing group. Like they put up so many results in 21. So I'm being extremely biased and unfair there. Unbanned, thank you. And there are other members of Unbanned who also killed it. But there was part of me, like 21, I think more so than 22, was like I don't know, it felt like a snare bear domination year to me. Okay. So literally all of this work to get up to here. Oh! Right, it's actually super simple. Okay, and actually this code is interoperable. So I can do this. Why are you mad at me? What? Oh, because it's... Okay, and then we can call matchup spread. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. So we just need to... Right. if table runner player equals by. No. Runner identity equals. Okay, great. It's an ugly way to do it, but we'll just. Okay, cool. So now we have the Cascadia counts. And so now we can do the same stuff. So let's call this Cascadia matchup spread. And I should really make this function into a whatchamacallit, but that's fine. I should make this into a function. I should also get the overall win rate for Cascadia, which I haven't done here. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, Eric. It's like I did release on a Saturday morning or Saturday mid-afternoon US, which is a terrible time for me to release content. So it is what it is. Cool. Okay, so this works, and then I take my map or my this thing. And we're going to go Cascadia matchup spread. And we say Cascadia corp win rates. And this should plot things. Yeah, that's totally fine. Like, this isn't meant to be me going like, everyone who watches my stream has to watch my videos. It's this weird thing where I feel weird about, like, I have not a ton of confidence in the content I put out. So, like, there's a big part of me that's like, hey, people are watching it all. But then it's got the weird addictive loop of, oh man, people really like this. Maybe I can get them to keep liking X. And it's like, the stuff I originally started making the channel for was stuff like the bathtub water. And the thing that people seem to actually want to watch is tier list videos, and that's fine. I actually have a fun idea for a tier list video I do want to do in the future, but it is a bit of a balancing act of like, what do I actually want to do? What makes me feel good as a person? And I have a lot less, like, if I put a tier list video out, I feel like people will enjoy it, and like the quality feels kind of level to me. Like, it's an easy thing for me to feel like I did a good job on. Whereas doing something like the bathtub water, like, I thought a lot about how do I do this? How do I talk about this? Like, did mini rehearsals in my head, wrote up a little set of slides initially, though I ended up scrapping them. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, so Cascadia, smallest event, so like things are going to be different. But yeah, we see both Hoshiko and Arasana, which ended up to me looking like the strongest things there. Like Reality Plus, like, just gets kind of dunked on for most of the weekend. But now we can do the master, or the total data plot. So we can do so we can take this, go Continentals summed, and Yeah, I mean, I played R+, I think 2 or 3 times as well. Like, it's, I think R+ was a very good meta call for Apac, and it's just a bad deck. Like, it doesn't make sense as runners know it exists. It's a very, very, very good call for the first week, and it's like not a knock at all on QTM. And I think they're okay, great. Wow. Oh no, okay, so that's about even. Great, great, great. Cool. Okay, so now we can look at everything. And we can look at Continental corp win rates. Oh, what went wrong? Oh, I didn't do the transformation to get total games decided. Please just do the thing for me. Thank you. Great. There we go. Okay. So, where do we end up? So, okay, let's start with Corpse, right? Ag Infusion seems like it has a pretty... Okay, what we'll also do is we're going to make a second thing. Because we're going to get number of total games played in this plot. Right? It does look like play Ag Infusion and Hosha Intercontinentals. Though okay, I guess here my argument would be, if you're playing against Ag Infusion, I don't know if there's a clear best runner, so you should spend some time thinking about it. It's also like, when you look at sample sizes, it's really hard for me to say conclusively that Ag Infusion's fantastic. Because it's so few games. Okay, so let's get Continental subbed. And we're going to group by corp, and then get total games decisive. Right. And this will be a metric of games played. Right? So Ag Infusion does pretty well at about 76 games played. Outfit has 300 games played. Atei about 100, Sportsman about 100, Op about 175, Asa about 175, and BN about 186, and Outfit 304. So Ag Infusion, like, the decks to me that you would consider bringing, like, people clearly like Outfit. I think the matchup spread looks a little bit iffy. But, you know, it's, so I suspect to see less Outfit at Continentals. I mean, sports this is numbers of games played. This isn't number of wins, right? Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's right. Yeah, not every one of these is the best version of these, right? Which is tricky. Like, Outfit is a really robust choice for I don't know the meta I don't know what the meta is, but it's gonna win me a lot of games. Yeah. No, for sure. And, like, we could, you know what? Let's also... Hey, Hank. I'll give you a sum in a second. Oh, okay, no, we're gonna do something slightly differently. Okay, we're gonna do aggregate. We're gonna do corp win rate is... Oh, it's not the mean. Oh, fuck, I need to do a custom function, I think. Because I do actually want this in tabular data. No, okay, we're gonna do this the correct. We're not gonna try and do something fancy. We're gonna do we're not gonna do corp win rate, we're gonna do corp wins some, runner wins some. Let's start here. And let's do also games decisive. Oh, did I miss? Is it not called? Yeah, decisive games. Of course it's not called that. It's total games decisive. Ah! Why are you mad at me now? Why did you do that to me? Okay. Cool. Corp wins, runner wins, total games decisive by corp, and I want to reset the index. Okay, so now we can also calculate. So this is going to be Continentals corp stats. Is this Continentals corp stats? Corp win rate equals, beautiful, Continentals corp stats sort values by corp win rate. Cool. So Ag Infusion, far and away the winningest corp in about half as many games played, right? So the question is like, okay, if we double the number of Ag Infusion players, what does that take its numbers down to the 60% range? Or does it stay in the 65 to 70% corp win rate? I don't know. Oh, I could just get the total win rate of corps by just summing this all up as well. I should probably do that, right? But yeah, I mean, this says ASA and OP are about equal. NEH is pretty good on a tiny sample size. And yeah, Ag Infusion is just killing it here, right? I think if to me this says if you're playing runner, you have to bring Ag Infusion tech, right? That's what this message says to me. And I think if you bring Ag Infusion tech, I think, you know, like I suspect 2 pinholes is probably enough to win there. I know people say like, oh, Ag Infusion will just boop you to a different server. I think it's impractical for Ag Infusion to constantly keep up boops on every single server. Just because, like, if they're doing that while they're getting conduited and stargated, like, I think that's a little bit... I'm just skeptical if that's a real thing. I haven't played it. I need to actually get reps in it. I'm going to play this weekend. But I just... I don't think you need much more than pinhole. I think it's just that, like, people stop playing any number of pinholes, and that's, like, something that you need for the deck. And yeah, Sports Metal looks like one of the wild... It's like the least winning corp. It's not really that unwinning, though, right? 52 to 53. It's about... it. You know, it and Atea are about as popular... and didn't do that well. But, like, it's also a point to say, like, you know, it's not like Sokka's Tea decks were bad, right? Is it about beating Ag, or is Ag the only thing that could beat Bankar Hoshiko? I don't think... I mean, personally, I think Op is fine into Bankar Hoshiko. Like, that's a matchup I'm not super... Like, it's hard, but it's not bad, right? You have to play smart. And this is the thing where I'm like... Yeah, like, when I look at this, I'm like, these win rates make sense to me. This seems like a massive overperformance, but it could very much bear out. Very much could bear out. In terms of ranking this by player performance, it's very like, I think it's just very hard to do practically. I have player IDs, so you can do it. But it's tricky. But yeah, so where we're at in terms of overall stats, and I should actually get the Cascadia win rates on their own. Okay, so let's see. Actually, let's just do that as well. Okay, so we had a 40%, or we had a 60% corp win rate in Apac, and 40 IDs out of basically out of about 80 matches, a little bit less than 80 matches, or 2-for-1, sorry. So we had 52% of players, sorry, 52% of players 2-for-1 at some point in the ID 2-for-1 in Apac. I think, Izzy, you did bring the right corp to Cannats, and I'm very curious to see what you guys built to beat your corp. Because it definitely looks like the best corp to bring. Emea had a 44% or a 55% corp win rate. And let's go get Cascadia's, because I haven't done that yet. Let's see. Cascadia matchup results. What's the best way to do this? Group by result. So can I just give me the number? Okay, great. Okay. And corps were again at about 57% at Cascadia. Is he saying, Loki, we haven't built something that reliably beats Ag Infusion yet. Cool, then we get to ban Ag Infusion. And no one complained. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'd love to. I'd be really interested to see if some team can find something. Yeah, I think a Keeling ban is like super warranted. Yeah, that's true. You don't ban Ag Infusion, you ban Keeling, because if they have to, if Ag Infusion has to score their agendas, we can at least agree they're playing a fair game. Yeah, my guess is that Keeling is much more likely to be banned than Ag Infusion, and honestly, fewer ID bans would be great. And I'll just submit this whole chat conversation and maybe the whole stream to the SBT, and we can just skip everything else. Though honestly, the 70-something% out of 70 games is like 75% corp on 70 games is definitely a worrying concern. And let's also do this for runners, right? Runner side exists, and we should see how dominant Hoshiko is, right? Oops. Wow. I mean, this is actually not that surprising to me. The Lat players who played Lat were very good. Oshiko at 47%. 419 at 45%. Essa a very respectable 44%, and Arasana at 44%. Yeah, you see, that's my sense, and like that's why like in my mental game plan, I'm like, okay, how can I tune Arasana to beat Ag Infusion? And it's basically try and slap a conduit, land the pinholes on the first keeling, and then conduit them to death. So, and I think honestly, the lat shell, like, is just the shaper control shell, and it's really damn good. Like, Echelon, Unity, Cleaver, K2CP Turbine is really good, and I suspect that a Leech or a second K2CP Turbine is probably just your brand tech, and just single against Ag Infusion and hope that that does it. I suspect that's a little dubious, but maybe you can look at something like Twinning Engine in there, or maybe even Wake, because you have so much influence. Honestly, spend 2 as your brand attack. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess the thing I have seen against Lat, and the reason where I, like, the Lat matchup is maybe the hardest op matchup that I've seen, but they do run out of money, and they struggle to sprint up for the money that they need. At least in the couple of games I've gotten to play, so I wouldn't be surprised if Ag can grind them out. Sable at 40% is a little surprising. Yeah, that is a little surprising. UK, or I should say, the process is super, super high on Sable. I was pretty skeptical. Some members of Bears are super high on Sable as well. I still remain skeptical. But Sable did very well at EMEA, and just doesn't have that many games played, but... Yeah, Izzy, I totally agree. And, like, I suspect that you can just, like, I think, let me go see if I can find Lost Geek's Arasana list. Because I'm not sure if he's right that it's actually favored into Op, but I think it's a very plausible one to be favored into Op. Yeah, a lot of people are very high on it, for sure. Okay, let's go and... No, like, Sable is definitely good. 100%. 100%. She just hasn't shown up yet. Which maybe means she's not actually good, but... Yeah, and maybe it is actually just that people are running every single corp is running 2 to 3 virus, and that really hurts Sable. I think if you cut the Bravados from this list, or you just change the Bahia bands into pinhole threadings, this list gets quite good at beating Ag Infusion. Yeah, you just have so much flexibility in avoiding the tax on the Ag Infusion, on Keeling. Like, that's where I suspect that basically you take... And if you look, this is actually... Oh, this is not the one I was thinking of. Hold on. Frog off Keeling, I think, is the actual one. Oh, wow, and this is not even... So, to me, what I sort of expect the... What I expect the optimal Arasana versus Ag Infusion deck matchups to look like is you use the Lat Breaker Suite, but then you use this Hermes Simulchip DZMZ Nuka. Like, you basically take this... You take the Breaker Suite from Lat, you put in Pisha Sao's, and call it a day. Maybe, and then you just, like, do value SMCs, right? So Jai, the frog thing, there's a frog on Arasana's shirt, which is here. And then the one of the breakers we got from her is Living Mural, which is also a frog. And then the console is called Lily Pad, because that's what frogs often sit on. So she's a very frog-themed runner. I heard that frog is some Portuguese slang for lesbian, which also ties into things from my understanding, though I think that's a case of accidental happenstance rather than designed. But yeah, I think if you look at something like this, maybe Ngolo just makes Ag Infusion really sad, right? And you play this, and then you play a Turbine, and maybe you play Hermes, maybe you play Pantograph. Sanjay, I shouldn't speak for whether or not it's an accident. So let me retract that statement. You'd have to ask people actually involved in naming things, the sequence of stuff. But yeah, when you look at, yeah, Death of the Author, so ignore everything there, right? Like, this lat deck, I think, if you just port it into Arasana, is probably really good. I think the Pisha Sao Deep Dive Conduit package is, like, so freaking powerful that you really should be on it, and it's not that slot intensive. And, like, if you look at this list, like, oh yeah, you could probably just swap the Buzzsaw for a Unity to get your second pinhole threading. And I would maybe even cut the DJ Fenris for a third pinhole threading. I know people are really high on DJ Fenris. I think he's a little bit of a trap these days. But you could just kind of like combine this Latin Arasana list and I think get some really solid stuff. But anyway, back to code. I actually don't think I have that much more to say. Oh yeah, Hush is also like such a big deal. I would not be surprised at some point if Hush gets banned. If Ice continues to be designed the way that it has been in the Automata initiative, it is so warping for so many corp game plans for Arasana. Maybe Arasana eats other bans, but I don't know. She seems very, very strong right now. But maybe she just always stays like the second tier runner, and that's fine. But yeah, I mean, so we have corp runner, average runner win rate is about 45%. We've got two runners that beat that. Hoshiko very slightly over a large dataset size. Lat is overperforming, though seems to be played by like a shockingly small number of people. And then 419, Essa, and Arasana are all kind of replacement level runners. Like these are replacement level runners. Sable's performance is apparently sub replacement level by about 5%. Freedom's is a straight up liability to be playing according to this data. And there's not even like surprise cheeky runners. It really is, you know, you gotta earn your stripes here. Also interesting that there are zero Novas, but there were a bunch of Amperes. That's interesting. That's in terms of power level, that's the opposite. A bunch. Okay, I think this is actually 4 games played, so probably a singular Ampere. So yeah. Yeah, I could get total player stats and stuff, but cool. So yeah, I think this is pretty much what I want to say. I'm going to, because I'm me, emphasize for the 4th time this stream, Where was it? 52% of players at Apac, 2-for-1 at some point in the event, and let's just do this. And 54% of players at Emea 2-for-1. So don't know. When it affects half of the people that show up to an event, I feel like that starts to be interesting. Yeah, I can make this public. I think this is even already set up to a repo. Let me see if I can save this and push this right now. Yeah, no one did 2-for-1 at Canned Nats or at Cascadia. Completely eliminated. Okay, we're gonna do the lazy thing. Actually, let's rename this first. So, Deporechik, I initially thought that maybe I could make the case that there are more, that it's actually the same number of games. But when I did the math, the total number of 2-for-1 games is about equal to one. It was, I think it was about 50-something tables. Let's see. And this is just going to be, let's call this Summer 23 analysis. And we'll go add Summer 23 analysis. We'll add this. And we'll get rid of all the cube stuff. Okay, and let me double check if this actually worked. Let me see what repo this should be in. Why is it not? Okay. My repos. Please show me which. Okay, Netrunner data. Beautiful. All right, if you want to play around with this, okay. So let me answer some questions, and then we'll call it this. So, so yeah, let me see if I can do we can get the counts really quickly. Where are we? Why have I completely lost my ability to navigate the code? Okay. So if you think about it, if there's 40 total 2-for-1s and there were it's funny, I could look this up, but this is actually faster. Oh no. Okay, now it's no longer faster. So there are 95 players, right? So 40 2-for-1s overall across 7 rounds, like less than one entire round is lost 2-for-1s alone. So it is a like it's still the game losses are the number of games you lose is pretty significant. One of the things that has been made very clear to me by both Cascadia and Cannats is I feel like Cascadia probably had about the right number of rounds. The cut was almost perfectly clean. I think for smaller events like 30 people, it should probably have been 8 rounds, and I think actually 6 rounds is sufficient to do a clean top 8. But 6 rounds is like no netrunner. That's like 4 hours of netrunner before you do a cut to top 8. And I think people would much rather do 6 hours of netrunner and then a cut to top 8 on a second day. But yeah, Sanjay, I think moving to 40 minutes, which is what we did for Cascadia, and I believe what Andre did for Cannats, was like taken very well. I also think stuff like the space setup made a huge difference for Cascadia, where the tables were set up so that you could more easily move from any table to any other table very easily. So like, you know, if you were going from table, like there was just more space for roughly the same number of people. There was some like the time between rounds was pretty aggressive. And there was, you know, they were starting the 40-minute clock before everyone had fully settled, but so it was ended up being like a little bit less than 40 minutes in practice, but it was very few games were going, you know, it was, I would say there was not very many games going to time. I don't have data for any event on games that go to time. And it's definitely something that we should collect. Again, anecdotally, to me, it's roughly the same number of games go to time in single-sided and double-sided Swiss. There's like the theory that like, oh, you know, a player can bring a fast deck and a slow deck, and on average 2 games of Netrunner will take less time than a single game's variance. What I have mostly seen is there are some players who play slow and will go to time regardless of what they do, and some players who play fast who will basically never go to time regardless of what they do. And whether that's 35 minutes, 40 minutes, 65 minutes, it basically doesn't matter. But 40 minutes is definitely what I'm going to be recommending for single-sided Swiss for large events. For small events, I actually think 35 is fine, and the TO can play with that as needed. For their own personal preference and flavor. But yeah, so and Jai asking for if you're gonna bring a deck that 11 other players that has 11 other top players from the world, hypothetically, for no reason whatsoever. I would probably look at this final chart. Actually, I would probably look at this. This chart is really colorful and fun. I think not saying that you should look at Ag Infusion as your first pass would be criminal to me. This corp is winning almost 10% more than the field. Actually, almost 20% more than the field across 70-something games. Almost 80 games, right? That's astounding. So to me, this is the thing you want to make sure your runner can beat, and the corp that you should play if you don't have strong feelings. I'm going to be playing Op because it is ever so slightly better than the field across a double the sample size and feel fine about it. I'm going to lose. My goal is never to win Intercontinentals. My goal is to show up and bring decks I enjoy playing. For runner side, boy, it is maybe look at Lat, right? Lat seems to be underrepresented, though, you know, as Izzy has talked about, Ag Infusion has 6 copies of cards that fuck up with your draw math. And so I would definitely look at taking the like economic breaker core and seeing if you can make that work in Arasana. And yeah. And yeah, I also like, I mean, it's, you know, I would love if people from QTM, Snare Bears, the Drop Bears, anyone wants to hop on stream with me on Wednesday. Like, I would love to get some reps in against Ag. It's a matchup I've seen I've played basically never, so I need a lot of intuition to learn that matchup. Or I can just accept that it's going to knock me out of the event, which is also something I'm fine with. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the stats. Once again, if you want to play with these stats yourselves, you can get the data here. And I'll catch you all on Wednesday. So, good night, everyone.